Rod Baker, God and Rod. Confirmed by the car horn. I'm doing this video to give a testimony. So I thought I'd do this out here at the pond here in Stroud, Oklahoma, and tell you guys a little bit about me. You know, I've got that YouTube channel there, and we've got, I think, 36, 37 followers, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. I got a pretty good sense that some things are going to change with it. And when that happens, I think knowing who it is that you're listening to is very important. So I thought I'd have a chat with you. I'm going to try to keep this under 30 minutes. It's kind of funny to try to put your entire life in a 30-minute testimony, but I've done it before. But we're going to do it. Well, I used some of these worms that my dad bought and obviously didn't use. They ran his refrigerator, so I thought I'd use them and see if we can catch a little something. I got a pretty good sense we will. I don't go fishing much without catching something. One time I caught a girl. She didn't stick around long, but you know, we'll get into that in the testimony. So I was born in Oklahoma City at St. Anthony Hospital. And my mother and dad stayed married for 30 years. And then my mom passed away. My dad was, he was a car salesman when I was a kid, and then all of a sudden he became a preacher about the time I hit my teenage years, which that was kind of a rough go for he and I. But we made it. Anyway, I've got two brothers, younger. One's 3 years younger and one's 11 years younger. And I had a sister, but she passed. In between my next brother and then in between the two of them. Let me cast this out. So needless to say, we were a majority of boys in a home where my mother knew how to work us pretty well. I've been writing a book called Me and Dee. Well, look at that. Already, good gummit. It just hit the water. I may have to put the pole down. Good gummit. Yeah. What do you got there? What do we got there? Huh? What do we got there? Looks like a little channel cat. Looks like a little channel cat. Good gummit. Man's got to talk. Yeah, we got a little channel cat here. Boy, you're a nice little one, ain't you? Huh? You're a nice little one. Yes, you are. See, this is why I trout fish instead of catfishing. You know what? We might end up just doing this YouTube video on me fishing. But anyhow, so I grew up in a place called Yukon, Oklahoma. And it's about 20 minutes outside Oklahoma City to the west. And Garth Brooks is from Yukon. He was older than I was, but I remember him. I got in a fight with one of his friends, and old Garth stood there and watched me get my tail end kicked. It's kind of like Garth's MO, I reckon. Anyway, so growing up in a small Oklahoma town, and at that time Yukon was small, everybody knows everybody, or if you don't know everybody, you know somebody that knows somebody, and I was more popular than most, needless to say. I had a wild streak. Most of us did. There wasn't much around there except, wheat and hay and working. There was a flour mill, but it was out of commission when I was a kid. So, you worked in the summertime, you went to school, and you got into all kinds of trouble. And that's what we did. I'm going to lower it. Well, I probably ought to lower it just a little bit. And so, again, I didn't have any trouble getting in trouble. I seemed to do it really well. And then my teenage years, I'd found out there was a calling on my life. I didn't much care, and I didn't know how to really adjust to it. And and mom and dad were working out their own salvation at the time. So they were about as much help as they could be. Is it raining? If it gets a little too wet, I'll have to turn this off. But it's starting to sprinkle a little. No wonder fish are biting. So anyhow, let's see if he hits me again. When I was 13, we went to a church in Oklahoma City, and it's called Love of God Tabernacle. I didn't much care for going to church, but mom insisted, and you do what mom says. And so they gave me what was called a word my very first time there. And this word is like a prophecy. It's a word from the Lord through people. And it's kind of funny because you see clairvoyance and things like that. And most Christian people have a problem with those kind of people because it scares them. They don't understand it, but at the same time, they get caught up in the Spirit of God at church and start speaking in tongues, and everything's okay, So it's a hypocritical thing. But I believe here in time we'll work that out. There's one God, and we are all His children. Some of us stepchildren, the rest of us blood children, and then there's those that are adopted. For me, I believe I was called, and I believe I was chosen, but more importantly than that, I believe I was predestined. I'm getting a bite. I believe I was predestined. And, I don't much care if others believe it or not. That's never been something I've cared anything about, what other people thought of me. There was a little bit of a time there I did, and when I did, it almost killed me. Being concerned about what people thought of me almost killed me. If you're somebody who does that, if you've got some insecurities and some codependencies and things like that, flip over to my TikTok channel, Rowdy Rev Rod Baker. And I've been reading a series on codependency out of a book. 1 minute at a time. So if you've got a minute, you got time. So I had some friends, but I had a couple of good friends, and at least they were for that time period in my life. And one of them's name was Mike Wiley, and I thought Wiley and I'd be friends for life, but we weren't. Was not meant to be. But he had a sister named Summer. And I knew I was a soulmate to that girl. somehow, some way, someday, I knew I was a soulmate. And she comes up a little bit later in the testimony. Anyway, so when I left Yukon, I joined the service and had a son on the way. His name's Blake Baker. He's a skateboarder. I haven't seen him in a couple of years, but I hear he's doing fine. I hear he's doing better than he ever had. And I hope that's true. And he gave me a couple grandkids that I love and adore. A granddaughter and a grandson. And I miss them. They're not in my life right now, but they will be. They will be. They'll always need Papa's help at some point in time. So when I left there, had the son, I married the woman that was my son's mother. And I didn't even like her. But it was the right thing to do, I believed. And it ended up being the best thing to do. And so that lasted for a little while, and then I met somebody else after my son's mother left me. And I ended up marrying her. My dad believed that I should marry her because I was going to drink myself to death if I didn't. He thought it would give me some sort of purpose, and it did. I spent a few years just doing everything I could to either avoid her or piss her off. That was my MO, making people mad. But I still had that thing burning inside of me, that relationship with God coming to. Here, let me rebake this. They got the bake. And it was coming to, my relationship with God. There's this thing about us needing Him at some point in time in our life, and when we do, He's there. And we all need Him at some point in time. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care where you come from. What your stability's been like. At some point in time, you need God for something. And that's really kind of like when you get to know Him, when you get to trust Him, you know? Is that moment in time that you need Him. You trust Him. Because you just about run out of everybody else you can trust. Or you want something so bad and the only way you're going to get it is with Him. That's another reason to count on Him. Call on Him. You want something so bad and you can't get it without divine intervention. We all know a lot about that too. Those of us who have been there. So, I married that girl and ended up running her off. And I got clean and sober. And I needed to. I was an alcoholic. There was no doubt about me being an alcoholic. And I ended up in jail and then ended up going to Alcoholics Anonymous and finding a life of freedom. Son of a gun. Come on, baby. Uh-oh. They're taking it. They took it and I got my line out. Come on, take it again. Take it again. Take it again. Take it again. Let's go. Dadgummit, they may have got my worm again. Anyhow, we'll leave it out there a minute and see. So, there we go. Let's see if I can get this sucker this time. He's taking my worm twice. Come on, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So anyhow, in my getting clean and sober, I began to realize some things about myself, and I went back and made amends to a lot of people I'd harmed. And one of the things I'd done is I'd taken the life of an old boy, and I had to go make it right with his folks. After I got clean and sober, I was 18. I thought I was going to go to prison, but I didn't. Come on, take it. Come on, take it. Take it. Take it. Quit jacking with it. Take it. Take it. Take it. Yeah, that's what I thought, you dog. Man, I may have missed you. I sure did. That dog. He got away. Here's a big one. Here's a big one. I think he's a bass. Way it swirl up. Come on, did he take our bait? Did he? Anyway, so holy smokes. After getting clean and sober, I began to see a different way of life for me. A life of freedom, where I wasn't enslaved. I wasn't conditioned. I wasn't outlandish. I wasn't outrageous. I wasn't mean all the time, though there was still a lot of meanness in me. But I also, more than anything, I began a relationship with God. You know, it says in the Bible, in James, it talks about being sober-minded. And, you know, I got to tell you, it's the start of any relationship with God, is to be sober-minded. You can't listen without being sober-minded. You can't hear nothing without being sober-minded. You can't understand the word itself or anything God's trying to tell you if you're mixed up with other spirits. And there's spirits everywhere in all kinds of things. Truly is. And you can be susceptible to those spirits easily. Easily. See what we got here. We'll try to catch this big sucker. Yeah, let's see if we can get him now. There's the gummit. This line's just not being pulled out. Dadgum, here we go again. As soon as it hits the water. Oh, go, go. Yeah. This may be another catfish. Guys, I'm sorry to sit here and catch fish like this, but what choice do I have? What choice do I have, I say? Well, dadgum, this is a perch. He's a big one for a perch. So anyhow, my relationship with God kicked off right then. I'd already known who God was, but I ran from him. Tested him all the time. You know, if you love me, get me out of this. Those foxhole prayers we say, you know, as they're called. Easy, boy. Easy. Take it easy. Open your mouth. Open your mouth. Gotta get this hook out. There you go. I knew God loved me. That's what I came to realize when I got sober-minded, is that God loved me. And when you come to that moment in time when you realize that, it changes everything, because then you begin to love God because he first loved you. Let's do it again. Let's see if we can catch another. And so that's what I came to realize being sober, is that God loved me. And he loved me no matter what I did, no matter what happened to me, no matter what I said, nothing. God loved me. And there's something about giving your heart to God that makes your habits change. The way you think of yourself. There's a different worthiness to you. See, that's the thing. When you become valuable to something more than yourself, more than the people in your life, when you become valuable to a higher power, the universe, a power greater than yourself, a decisive power in your life. And most of us believe that way. Most of us know that there's something greater than us in this universe. Amen. I was in a fight one time over by Yukon, and fought with a couple of boys, 3 of them actually. I didn't mean to fight with them. I'd pulled up and they were out there drinking beer, and I thought they were somebody else. So of course I, hollered out the window of my car some dirty bad name that I was calling because I thought they were somebody else. And so when I got out and went and saw that it was somebody else, they didn't take too kindly to me acting that way. So we went at it pretty quick. There we go. Let's see if we can get something else now. So they hung me from a bridge with a bed sheet. I was there a couple minutes while they drove off. They tied that bed sheet around my neck, beat the crap out of me, tied the bed sheet around my neck, and then threw me off that bridge, and it didn't snap my neck. They were trying to kill me. And there's been numerous times I've been killed. I've been shot at. I was wahooing beer one time, and me and 3 other guys, and I was the only one who grabbed the beer. As I was coming out of the store, an old boy pulled a pistol, shot 6 shots at us, hit everybody but me. It's pretty incredible. Here we go. We got something else here now. Oh, huh? You gonna take it? Oh, he didn't take it. Well, he took it under, but he didn't put it in his mouth. So the thing I'm getting at with this is that if you've seen miracles in your life, you've been called. If you've seen times when you could have died and didn't, you've been chosen. And the minute that you realize that you have a bigger purpose in this world than just for you and your own needs and desires, then you're predestined. You're predestined. And there's many of us, many have been called, but few have been chosen, and even fewer are predestined. So if you get to that place where you're predestined, and you know it, you better get to work, because you got work to do. You got work to do. We're about at 23 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and call this part 1. We'll do part 2 another time. I'm going to download this onto YouTube, and I'm going to call it My Testimony Part 1. We'll leave off at, let's see, getting clean and sober. We'll leave off at that. Peace be with you. Talk to you later.